Hello and welcome to the Tony Parker episode of the Hoop Theory Podcast, aka episode 101, which is in honor of him being the best player from the 2001 NBA draft, who doesn't already have an episode named after them. Recording this one on the evening of Sunday, September 22nd in the year of our Lord 2024. My name is Logan Wertman, and as usual, I'm joined by my autumnal co-host, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how does it feel to be on the Tony Parker episode?
It feels good. 01 draft. He's probably arguably just the best player from the draft.
Over Pau Gasol,
somebody,
you'd say?
Oh, so no. Well, I mean, but he's like not like a nobody in the draft.
Yeah, he's not in a different stratosphere from Pau Gasol, but
no, Pau's probably that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Probably most likely.
I would lean him for sure.
I think most would.
Yeah. You just skipped right over the most memorable or the most notable part of my intro there was the adjective, autumnal.
I don't know what that word means.
Oh, it's just autumn as an adjective. Autumnal.
Oh.
Which is funny because I didn't even plan this out, but today is the autumnal equinox.
As of 7:44 this morning, fall began.
Why? I thought it was in the evening. 7:44?
I believe it was at 7:44 this morning.
Oh. The other day, I thought it was like 8:40 something p.m., but which if it is 8:40 exactly right now. If that is true, the
8:44 a.m.
Oh, that was about to be the most
Eastern, also known as 7:44 our time.
You are correct. Very astute of you. But yeah, autumnal. That was fun because I already had it scheduled to be the adjective for the episode right after Centennial, right after 100, because I knew that it would be close to fall.
Time.
Yeah.
Fall time. Yeah.
Didn't expect it to be actually literally the day of the first day of fall. So,
as far as I'm concerned, fall began August 31st when college football kicked off officially. My brain's like fall mode already. I get there's like the official start of fall, but then also like summer doesn't start till like damn near the end of June, and that feels wrong.
Yeah. I feel like most people view it the way that you view it. Like the beginning of June should be the beginning of summer in most people's minds, you know? And
yeah, because like in terms of culturally, May 31 Memorial Day is kind of what kicks off summer. Memorial Day weekend is kind of the opening into summer.
Mm-hmm. The last weekend.
It's not always on May 31.
Yeah, it's just, I think the last Monday, I think it is, right?
Yeah, that would make sense because it is always on a Monday. Mm-hmm. And then Labor Day is kind of welcome to fall. That's kind of fun like that. You bookend your summer and your fall
with those two Monday holidays.
Winter starts like a stone's throw before Christmas. It's like
December
3 days
21st.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we just do? I get it's like based on the sun and the moon and the stars or whatever.
Yeah,
but why can't we just be like December 1?
Honestly, I feel like that's the way most people just treat it. So
March 1.
It's fine either way. But also, seasons are a concept. You know, it's something that we kind of describe or invented. You know, it's like
everything's invented. Yeah. Words are invented.
Mm-hmm. There's no black and white truth. You know,
True.
Everything's just kind of in between. And we just gotta make sense of it all, and that's what we're here to do. But usually in the lane of basketball, that's what you come here for. But
yes, sir.
I guess thank you for listening. Please be sure to hit us up on Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee if you would like to support us. That's patreon.com/hooptheory and buymeacoffee.com/hooptheory. All our links can also be found in the description of both the show and the episode, wherever you're watching or listening to this. We'd also greatly appreciate it if you would rate the show, leave a like or a comment. Of course, be sure to subscribe and follow the feed. And lastly, we'd also love it if you sent something into our mailbag for us to read and react to, basketball related or otherwise. You can send those over to hooptheory.mailbag@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode, which is the Atlantic Division, doing our over-unders. Anybody who was with us last year and really every year since this podcast has started, we have been doing our picks over or under on every team's line for the regular season win totals heading into the year. And this year is no different. We're starting it right now. So with the NBA season set to begin about a month from now, we got to squeeze these 6 episodes out. We're going to start with a division that's pretty important to the cast of this show because we have the Boston Celtics leading it off. I guess, do you want to just hop right into the Celtics to begin this?
Yeah. So the Celtics last year, as I will get the timer so we kind of stay on track, went 64-18 last year for folks that didn't know. They're over under for this year. I don't know if you have seen this. They've got it at 58.5, which is a pretty high line, but they also brought back literally everyone.
Yeah.
They gave Jason Tatum a max extension. They brought back Derek White, Sam Hauser, Xavier Tillman, Luke Cornett, and then probably won't see much Celtics or Boston Celtics game time. But Baylor Shireman is who they drafted with the 30th overall pick in the NBA draft. He's going to be a main Celtic, probably almost exclusively for a lot of the season. Obviously, depending on the injuries and stuff like that. The biggest thing for me that I think is tough about the 58 line, 58.5, is the big question mark of like two things. Well, KP's out until probably February at least. Like it would be post All-Star break. They won't rush him back, I would imagine. And so the thing for me is like, how well does Xavier Tillman fill in for KP? Because Al Horford is just not going to be able to do the same amount of minutes because the dude is older. So it kind of just brings up like I don't know which way to go with it. Also, I don't know if you want to say this or how you want to do these. We did a hoop theory power ranking. We came together and made a list. The Celtics are our first. We have them as our top power ranking heading into the season. So that'll be fun for people to piece together as we go through and find out where everybody is at. But we have the Celtics at the top of the list. But personally, I feel really good. I feel like this line would be scary most of the time because of that championship slump. But I feel like the things that we have covered at just in large ad nauseum on the podcast over the summer, the Celtics will not have that to the same extent that some teams in the past have, whether it is Joe Mazzulla as a coach or it is the way that the Olympics went for Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown in the Olympics and all that. I just feel like this team will probably come out with a little bit of gusto and fire, at least at the top, and that kind of trickles down through the whole roster. They brought back everybody. I feel good. I'm not going to lock or anything. I'm just going to take the over for just, I mean, it's a really good core, and everybody around him's gotten better in terms of like just the entire NBA continually somehow gets better. But I feel like 58.5 is very attainable. In the past, I have said they're winning 70 games. That's probably not going to happen. But I feel good about this team at least getting to 60, with like 65 being my confident but probably reality type of level of wins, just because of everything they've got going for them. I feel like that's very attainable for this squad. So there was kind of my laying out of my beloved Celtics. What do you think, Logan? Was I too crazy? I feel like that was all pretty reasonable.
For the most part, I do think that setting the bar higher than they got last year seems, I'm not sure the reasoning for that. You just think it's going to be even better?
Just confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I said 60 is my like real line.
Oh, okay.
I think they can get to sit. Like that's my reality line.
60 is okay.
Like this would be awesome. Could happen. Like my fan line is they'll win 65 games.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I don't think that's crazy line is probably 60.
And I think that works. But I mean, yeah, they are who I have at number one also. 58.5 is a pretty high line though. I think last year their line was 54.5. They ended up smashing that by getting 9 more wins than they needed to get over. But 58.5, so they'll have to win at least 59 games, which is just a pretty high total, especially when you factor in not having KP. And I mean, they were relatively healthy last season, right? The Celtics, they had some injuries here and there, but
no, they did. They had KP throughout. nobody was injured for super, super long stretches.
I think even he played over 60 games, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he was not like injury prone like he had been.
For him,
but a lot of the time there was like right toe soreness, and so guys would be like, rotate. That's why there's the hospital Celtics or exciting whites, whatever way. There's a couple of games where the starting lineup was like Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett, Svi Mikhailuk, and I can't remember who the last one was.
O'Shea Brissett?
No.
He's gone now, which is the upsetting thing. You said you got everybody back. You're forgetting about O'Shea Brissett. It was also
weird because he just like, there was like never any big, it just was like, hasn't re-signed.
Yeah, he's not with anybody right now, which is sad.
So I don't know. Yeah, it is weird because he's not bad. I don't get that. I can't believe I'm forgetting who the last one was. That's kind of making me upset.
I guess I didn't attentively listen to every name you said. Did you say Luke Cornett?
Yeah.
Jaden Springer?
It's not him.
What position does he play? Jordan Walsh? Nemias Queta?
I'm blanking on who it was. Maybe it was one of those guys and they just called it. Also, yeah, I don't know. My brain's drawing a blank. Maybe it was, I know Jordan Walsh got some time. Derek White played in a lot of those games, so maybe it was Derek White, and that's why it was the exciting whites, because it was like
he counts
a bunch of
as
white
a white
dudes, and then the last, he doesn't, like, he's not a white guy.
Well, because his last name is white, so he gets included. And it just in a different way.
That might be where the exciting whites nickname came from. But anyway, yes, for in large part, they were healthy to put a bow on that. They didn't really face any kind of injury themselves. They faced a lot of injured teams, as we will hear for the next decade, probably. But yeah. So I just think that the team will come out. Joe Mazzulla is not going to let people be just chill. I feel like there's only so much a coach can do, but Joe Mazzulla is a unique individual that I feel like has the ability to get guys fired up, to say the least. Also, another thing, and we can use, because we got a little bit of time, unless you got a lot more on the Celtics, the City Editions, this leak. Have you seen this leak of the City Edition jerseys?
I think I did see the Celtics ones. I heard a lot of people, or our friend, our mutual friend, Anthony, hated them. I didn't mind the Celtics, honestly. I didn't think it was good. I will not say it's good, but like there's a lot of City jerseys that I feel like are atrocious, and this one was just like passable. I was like, that's fine, I guess.
But my thing is, you probably can like visualize what the 2009 Celtics did for game one after they won the championship. It was just the Celtics jersey, and it was gold lettering instead of white.
I was honestly gonna guess that. I didn't feel confident about it, but that was gonna be my guess.
Why they could not have done a play on that somehow? Instead, we get like crappy Michigan State jerseys.
I mean,
let's say Celtics instead of Spartans.
Yeah, I guess the Nuggets also
have the hardest jerseys of all time in Toronto.
Oh yeah, have you seen those throwbacks? I'm glad they're doing a throwback to that era already, or not already.
No, but it's like a throwback. But the Raptor is Vince Carter dunking.
What?
Like the Vince Carter? No, it's not just the Raptor. The Raptor wears 15 on the little jersey, and it's doing the Vince Carter dunk.
Which Vince
contest?
Which one? I guess the honey dip.
No,
like a windmill.
Well, I'm just gonna find it.
I saw the jersey in like a grid of a bunch of jerseys on someone else's phone, so I didn't look super attentively at it.
It's the one between the legs.
Oh, it's black? I saw a different one, but
this is what I've seen as the leaked Raptors jersey.
Okay.
For City Edition. And Vince Carter's getting inducted into their Hall of Fame or a Hall of Fame or something like that. So but that's clean.
I think it would be the Hall of Fame because it's 2024 now. Yeah, and he retired after the bubble season, 2020. Yeah. So this would be Hall of Fame, NBA, or Basketball Hall of Fame.
But, like, they have that, and then we have just this knockoff Michigan State Spartans jersey. I just hate it.
If that's the Raptors jersey, I don't love that because it's just all it was just the dinosaur. It wasn't like there was no like text on it or anything.
No, very few of the jerseys had like full on text.
Huh, that's weird.
Some of them did, but some of them didn't.
The one that I saw that was leaked was more of just like kind of a simple retro throw, like what their jerseys back then that they wore in that era, just kind of a more modernized version of one of those, which I really liked. But speaking of like a championship team coming off a championship having like terrible city jerseys, like the Nuggets did that exact thing last year. And this year they made that terrible jersey better, but it's still like, why are we doing like, I would like that it just to say Nuggets instead of 5280, you know what I mean?
But we'll have the elevation map still.
Yeah, it would have like that style of the text. Yeah.
I think that and these are all leaks. The NBA has not confirmed anything yet.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I remember last year most of the leaks turned out to be true. Not all of them. I do remember that, but most of them.
Mm-hmm. But I'm hoping that the outcry that just about everyone in the city of Boston has given Nike says, hey, maybe we should pivot if we still can. That'd be a good idea because it would make me happy. But Logan, we've got about a minute. We got a little bit of a diversion there. Celtics, what is your take going to be and where are you at on that?
So I'm thinking with the Celtics, since they are having KP out for what seems like going to be most of the season, and I feel like that just makes them a lot more susceptible to other injuries. You know, like if they get banged up even a little bit beyond that, then they're really looking at some bench players, especially in the bigger spots on their roster, people that are kind of no names, you know, rolling in there and having to play big minutes, which they could probably pull off in a passable fashion, but they are going to be playing against some other teams in the East that I feel like are better than they were last season and less banged up, because a lot of the other contenders in the East were banged up a lot, especially down the stretch of last season, it felt like. So I feel like they probably won't be, it'll be more of like a normal leading the standings in their conference type of number.
Yeah. So as opposed to
exactly
locking up your playoff 1 seed in like March.
Yeah. So I'll take the slight under on the 58.5 line.
I'm going to go over, as I said, because protect the parquet and Joey Trust, all of the things above. And I think that'll do it for the Celtics, for me at least.
I think that will do it for me as well. And we have the Brooklyn Nets. So we're going from the number one team in our power rankings, to the dead last number 30 in our power rankings, which is a fun turnaround. Get to see the best and the brightest, and then the, just complete bottom of the barrel here back to back. So with the Brooklyn Nets, their line is 21.5 officially is the line that we're pulling out to look at for this episode. They won 32 games last season after having a preseason line of 37.5 heading into last year. And, they made some changes this offseason. That's for sure. Selling off of their biggest piece in Mikal Bridges, going into a more of a rebuilding stage of their building process, which I think is a good thing for this Nets franchise. I think it's good to pick a direction, and I think that was the most attainable direction to go in, is to kind of sell off of some of the guys that are valuable, which they still need to do some more of that. I feel like with they've got some guys on the roster that will be valuable to other teams who are trying to win now, like Bojan Bogdanovic, which is who they got for Mikal Bridges in that deal. Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, I guess even Dennis Schroeder to a certain extent, Cam Thomas.
Honestly, if you go down the list of their entire roster, the top 6 are great eighth man on playoff level teams, but that's just their top.
Yeah.
That's the best that they have. It's just a bunch of 8th or 9th in the rotation guys for good playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have nothing after that. They have a couple young pieces, but it's a lot of just, it's nothing really going for it.
I feel like Claxton can probably start for a good team as a center, I feel like.
Yep. Depending on the fit.
Yeah.
At that center spot, for sure.
And I think Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith might be a little bit better than the 8th man. But other than that, though, if you take their top 6 players, the average of them is probably an 8th man on a good team. So that's definitely not good. And Ben Simmons, we've just completely buried the lead.
It's not really a lead.
I saw that he had yet another gym video go viral.
I'm back.
Yeah, which he has annually. I thought this year might be the year that we just, don't hear from him anymore. Like it feels like he's given up. But nope, he's back at it again. He's here to play. So let's see if we have finally a redemption season, which has been 5 years now in the making for Ben Simmons.
Crazy to think that was that long ago.
I just kind of said that off the top of my head. But
no, that's right, though, because it was 2021 was the really fall-off year.
Yeah, the 2021 Hawks.
Yeah, when it was like, oh, this guy is scared. And then it just spiraled from there.
Yeah, so it's really been about 3 years, I guess. But still, it's been a while since I feel like we've seen some meaningful, productive basketball out of Benjamin Simmons. But so their line is 21.5. I'm probably honestly going to still go under. And I kind of feel like this is going to be my lock, which is why when me and Jacob were talking before recording this episode, they had a different line in one of the other sports books that we were looking at, which was 18.5. And I was like, I'd rather use the line that we had already because I feel good about locking that one. 18.5 makes it a little bit more like, can a team be that bad? And you feel confident enough to put a lock on it, But I would still probably go under on 18.5. Not going to lie. I don't know if I would lock it, though.
See, and I think that you took it from me, because if you look at the other, not took it, but like, I think I'm going to follow you in that underlock. Because if you look at, because we get one lock per division.
Yep.
If you look at the other teams in this division, the lines are just really good lines. Like, there's no line that sticks out where you're like, oh, yeah, no, this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about those lines as we keep on going. But this is the only one where, like, no, I think that they are in, like, worst team of all time territory because of how good everyone else in the NBA is. There's not going to be a lot of other, like, cupcake teams for them to duke it out with.
Yeah.
Because of how like, I mean, the Wizards are bad, but, like, I feel like there's a sizable difference, maybe not sizable, but there is a visual difference between how bad the Nets will be and how bad the Wizards will be in my brain. Especially if they start just selling things off for picks and for assets that are not going to impact this season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I am.
And that's also, saying I think that's the difference between them and the second worst team in the league, not just like the conference. Like,
no, that's not like a big jump. That is the Wizards. Spoiler: 29.
Yeah,
if I'm remembering right.
I think so. I would bet money on it at least.
But yeah, so I think I'm also going to lock the under, and maybe they'll shock us, but I really don't think so. Because I don't remember what their like season extrapolated would have been. Once things shifted around in the season.
Before they like decided to tank, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, before they like shut everything down, McCall Bridges was like barely playing, and they like.
I know they started off 5-5. I know that, so that would be 500 pace. But I don't know if they got after that point if it got better or worse from there. I don't remember honestly.
But I know that the end of the season was bad, like ugly, ugly bad.
Yeah,
and so I just think that they will be atrociously terrible, and yeah, a lot of shuffling around for them. I do like the contract they got Nick Claxton on.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a $97 million over 4 years. That's a tradable size deal
for sure
for the asset that he is. So good on the front office for that, and not just paying him more because you have to pay him more because you have nothing else to give your money to. I like that piece of it. But other than that, I think they made the right decision waving the flag and saying, we're just going to be bad for a couple of years and getting on the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, which if Wemby didn't exist, would Cooper Flag be like the highest regarded prospect since LeBron, like easily, do you think?
I wouldn't say easily. I wouldn't go that far. But
it's just he'd be in the Zion ballpark, probably.
I would say Zion, Anthony Davis ballpark, yeah.
But like both of those guys, when healthy, panned out pretty good. So if you if the Nets end up tanking and end up with Cooper Flag, I don't think they'll be upset.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I think I'm also going to lock the under just mostly because of the other teams in their division. Like I feel like Vegas picked better lines for the rest of the teams.
Mm-hmm. I would say so too.
And because like realistically, I think they probably win like 17 games somewhere in there. 17, 18.
I wouldn't be shocked if they won like 13, 14, to be honest. Not going to lie.
And it's just so hard to like mentally wrap your brain around because it's an NBA team.
Yeah.
Like how could they not be better?
Yeah. Last season, I think the worst record, I think, was the Pistons and the Wizards. Yeah. Both won 15, I want to say.
Which is wild that the Wizards caught up to the Pistons. I think that needs to be brought up.
You mean the other way around?
Well, no, caught up as in like started losing.
Oh, caught up in the bad way.
Yeah, the bad way. Because of how just atrocious that Pistons, how many games? Was it 29 games?
Either 28 or 29 in a row. Yeah, they lost. They were 2-29, so I think it was 28 losses in a row. I think the record was 2-29 though.
and then somehow the Wizards just found a way to like lose to get close to that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pistons looked better.
Oh yeah, I mean after they actually won a couple games, and some of those in the losing streak were against really good teams, and they played they lost the Celtics by like 3 points. I think
it was a close game.
Yeah,
but then everybody's like, we don't want to be the team
to lose.
So this is the night where we'd like.
Yeah.
We would like usually like rest guys, but like everyone was sending their starting five.
Mm-hmm.
They were not going to be, after it got past like 20, everyone's like, I'm not going to be the team that loses this.
To the Pistons.
Like,
yeah.
Because I think the Celtics were like 26 or 27. Like, because I know the Celtics were pretty late.
Yeah. It was one of the last
win
ones.
Streak. Because I was like, oh no, they're playing good. This is not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a whole thing. Speaking of the Nets, because we got a couple more minutes, and want to give Nets fans, if they're listening, their time in the sun.
After you told them not to listen to this episode a few episodes ago.
Well, it's but if they do, I think it was Bill Simmons' podcast. He was talking with Zach Lowe, the GOAT, and they were talking about is there a team where one play has changed the trajectory of their like franchise more than KD's foot on the line?
Oh. Yeah, honestly. If his toe was not on the line there, maybe I don't know if they win a championship, but they go to the conference finals, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they play and they're beat up, but they're playing the Hawks. That's the year they're playing the Hawks.
That is true. Yeah, you are correct.
Then you would go and play the Suns. And again, Kyrie was out. James Harden was giving everything he had on one leg. So it's not like, oh, this is a Nets championship. But if there was ever a year for a hobbled team with the best player on the court to be able to win, it was against the Hawks and then Chris Paul in the finals. Or just Chris Paul in big games.
Yeah.
Because we only have one example of him in the finals, and Giannis's greatness, I think, overshadowed Chris Paul's like injury, lack of timeliness.
Honestly, I don't even. I think I looked back at that series, at least in the stats. I looked at the box scores. I don't think he really fell apart all that much in that series, at least by the numbers. Like he didn't have like an outstanding series after game 1 or game 2, which was like a great game.
Yeah,
and then the rest of them were just kind of meh. But it didn't look like he played all that terribly, you know.
And more the fact that it was just Giannis being Giannis and like can't hit free throws and then proceeds to hit like 15 of them in the closeout game without missing one or only missing one or something crazy like that.
I think it was 17 of 19. I want to say was
just like a greatness type of moment. But anyway, is that the most single play on a basketball court impacting an entire franchise's trajectory for probably 5 years, if not more by the end of it, because of just how everything imploded and is continuing to implode, as we don't think they'll win 20 games this year.
I think that's probably, it's got to be the number 1 seed for that title.
If there's like a whole bracket, there can't be more than like it's top 5 at the minimum.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
It's got to be. Another one that comes to mind though is the Dame shot, like the 42-foot step back against the Thunder.
To the Pelicans.
The Thunder.
Oh, Thunder.
Which blew up.
Yep.
Paul George and Russell Westbrook were no longer there anymore. After that, they made the trade for Chris Paul, all because of that shot. That end of the series.
That's a whole game, but Clay's game also against the Thunder.
Game 6.
Was it game 6?
Mm-hmm.
The Clay game.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one where like they're probably still together.
If the Thunder
Ray
win,
Allen shot. That's not a franchise. That's just a LeBron's legacy thing.
And it didn't really affect this. The Spurs just came back and beat them the next season. So
so that's why I was like, never mind. That's
it affected the Heat in a positive way. You're saying more.
Yes, but then I was like, it didn't super matter because it was more of a LeBron legacy thing than anything. But anyway, that went a little bit longer than I thought. We will get our next 12 minutes started as we talk about the other side. We're just bouncing back and forth between the top and the bottom of the East as we are back near the top with the New York Knicks.
Just across the Brooklyn Bridge over in Manhattan, the New York Knicks. So their line, I think that the line that we are deciding to use is 53.5.
52.5. I didn't have this one updated yet. Sorry.
Oh, 52.5?
That's what I've got on the list that we were looking at.
Okay, yeah. Either one works. That's fine. We'll just go with 52.5. Their line for this season is that they won 50 games last season, which their over-under last year was 44.5. And they kind of smashed that. Not really smashed it, but they were a good amount above it, even with all the injuries that they dealt with, which is why, Tom Thibodeau and Jalen Brunson were up for the awards that they were up for near the end of the season. But I guess with the Knicks, though, this might be my stay away pick here, which I don't think we've really fully explained for this year yet. But we have the ability to go over or under on each of these teams in each division. We can lock one of the teams in each division, and we can do a stay away on one of the teams. And a stay away makes the pick worth no points. A lock makes the pick worth 3 points as opposed to just 1. If you get it right, you get those points. If you get it wrong, you lose those points. Hopefully that'll make sense. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with my stay away, honestly, on the Knicks, just because their lack of bigs kind of worries me a little bit. They have Mitchell Robinson as their only real rotation level, like big man. Precious Achiuwa, I think, is rotation level, but he's not. He's kind of a small ball option, at the 5. So, and Mitchell Robinson, I don't have very much faith in playing more than like 50 games, honestly, in a season. So that is what worries me there. But I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, if they are the number 1 seed, honestly, in the conference and smash this number. So wouldn't be surprised either way. That is why I'm going to go stay away for them.
I think that I am going to use my stay away on a different team that I have more questions about. So I think I'm going to go with, I got to pick, I guess, the over-under. And I think Logan kind of laid out the two very, it seems weird, but it's kind of like all or nothing. Like I could see things not super working and then missing this number. Mm-hmm. And then I could also see things clicking wonderfully and then them smashing this and winning 56, 57 games.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to lean slight over because I just feel better about this team not having to have any kind of a tune-up to figure out how this new kind of constructed roster with a lot of the same pieces is going to work. The only thing that really worries me, as you said, is their depth at the bigs positions, especially as the teams they're going to have to play are just, there's more and more elite, or the bigs that are out there are hyper elite. And I just think that that's just going to make things difficult at times for this team. But I think I'm going to lean a slight over because I feel more likely that this team will figure things out than the fact that they won't and dip down into, I just don't think they'll dip down in the 40s. That just doesn't feel right in my brain. So I will go over on this one overall. Some of the big moves they made, obviously they brought back Jalen Brunson on an absolute steal of a contract, 156.5 for 4 years. They re-signed OG for 212.5 over 5. Then they obviously the biggest pickup probably is McCall Bridges, Keita Bates-Diop, and Juan Vaulet.
I don't even know what name you're trying to say, honestly.
Vaulet. Vaulet.
Where is this person?
In the trade. Traded for.
Oh, I don't remember. Is he on the roster? I don't see him on the roster.
Maybe he's just not. Anyway, essentially it was for McCall Bridges, but Bates-Diop I think is an could potentially, especially if in a Tibbs grinded out type of team, if they need a little depth for a night, it's not the worst thing ever.
No. I mean, he's underwhelmed. As a former Nugget, I can speak on him a little bit. He has been a guy because of his dimensionals, that he seems like he should be a much more effective NBA player than he actually is in reality.
Yeah,
but at the very least, though, he has good size and a passable skill set. Can shoot a tiny bit sometimes, so it's there in concept. So if you need him to play some minutes, it's like an option. At the very least, he is one of the players of all time. I guess I'll put it like that. I feel like people probably can know what I mean by that, but yeah. So there's some ways that it can go right, and that's exactly why I feel like a stay away is my best pick for them. If I had to choose over or under, I honestly probably would lean over.
Yeah, but I like the campaign signing as well. I don't think the rookies probably do much that they have, but we will see kind of how things go. But like the Knicks, the vibes are at an all-time high for Madison Square Garden. Which I think also that's a big part of it is that place. I mean, it's rocking when the teams are bad, but when they're good, that'll be a hard thing to fathom how insane Madison Square Garden will be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they're good with expectations coming into the season and they meet them, it's just crazy to think. As we've got them ranked 6th in our Hoop Theory power rank. I don't know if we've said that yet, but
yeah,
got them ranked 6th. So, pretty solid team that I think will. I don't think anybody dethrones Boston, but I feel better about the Knicks than some of the other teams in the East being able to do so.
Dethrone in the playoffs, you mean? Or are you talking about just regular season?
Both. Kind of both, honestly. If anything, it'll be regular season because KP will, in theory, be back for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think Boston with KP is just a whole different thing to deal with.
And I honestly feel a little bit better about the Knicks as a regular season team than a playoff team, honestly.
Especially because it's a Tibbs team, and the way they kind of use minutes doesn't change, and that can be problematic at times. But everybody kind of knows that story. But anything else you've got on the Knicks as we are kind of winding down time? Still got some, but as we're winding down time on the Knicks.
I don't think there's much other than, I guess, Miles McBride, I think will probably be a big guy for them at the backup point guard spot. And it's good, though, that, like you said, they have Cam Payne now as a third string guy. I didn't realize they got Landry Shamet, it looks like, on a minimum, and Chuma Okeke, which I don't mind either of those as minimum signings to help fill out that rotation there. I don't know if those guys will be in the rotation, but there'll definitely be some injury insurance, that's for sure.
And injury insurance that you feel good about, especially on a Tibbs type of team. I think that those types of guys are big.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. So yeah, that'll be it though for me on the New York Knickerbockers. And we can move on to the Philadelphia 76ers, just a couple hours south down
via train.
Via train. I was thinking car, but on whatever interstate that is, I-95, or is that? I don't even know. Not important, but I can't remember if the lower numbers are on the eastern side.
On the nose, it's I-95.
Okay, I knew it would be either 95 or 5 because it's the coast, but I didn't know which direction they go up or down. But yeah, so the Philadelphia 76ers, their line is 52.5 wins, so same exact line. It looks like you have 53 though there.
No, I'll get it edited. I'm just kind of
it just changed. Okay.
Yeah. Because I made this a minute ago. So I will get this one edited.
Yeah, so 52.5 is their line. They won 47 games last year. 47-35 was their record. Just missing their line last year of 48.5 because of those Joel Embiid injuries after like February or whenever he suffered those, late January maybe. But he before he got injured, they were looking like, they were going to not completely smash the 52.5 number, but definitely be comfortably over it, like 56, 57 wins, something like that maybe. But and not 50, their line wasn't 52.5. I don't know why I said it like that. It was 48.5. So they honestly might have smashed that, honestly, if Embiid did play a full season. But he, like he's known to do, only played like 39 games last year, something like that. So if he plays around that number this season, I think they'll definitely be under this number, 52.5. So it's really riding on whether or not he plays, like has like a full season. And I feel like because of the place we're getting to with Joel Embiid, with him missing out on playoff after playoff, I feel like they're going to be a lot more careful with him during the regular season than in the years previous. Like the past few years has been more of like he's kind of going out there campaigning for the MVP award, wanting to win that MVP award, having enough games to qualify for that and stuff like that. So I feel like they will take that a lot easier, not really care about that dynamic in the regular season, just focus on having him healthy for the postseason. And for that reason, I feel like they might narrowly miss this number. So I'm going to go a slight under on the line of 52.5 wins.
That is why I kept my stay away for this team, because with Embiid, I think they get it comfortably. Without Embiid, I think it will be mighty stinking close. There's worlds where they get it without Embiid. I think if Paul George, with the new venue, new scene, steps into it and doesn't skip a beat, maybe steps up a little bit. But that's another question I had is, with Paul George getting older, does he finally start to show father time, winning the battle slightly? Because that could be a big deal, especially if they don't have Embiid, if he isn't the same guy that he was and does take a slight step back. Tyrese Maxey is also another guy that I likely think on the opposite way will get better, but if Embiid's not playing, how much better will he have to get them over that 52.5 line?
And then Andre Drummond was probably be the starting center for that team at that point.
Which doesn't feel great. I mean, they signed Yabo, Gershon Yabusele, so like, but you don't want that guy playing a lot, and especially
at the 5, yeah.
Like he can, but not really.
He's a small ball option for sure, and he's an unproven NBA player also.
Yeah. But yeah,
Paul Reed is another option, but he's again also a small guy, so
also not there.
Oh, is he not? I guess I
thought that was one of their sacrifices.
That sounds familiar now that you say that. I feel like he went to a different team.
I want to say he is in... Oh, he's in Detroit. I thought he might have been in Miami, but he's in Detroit.
Okay, so he's signed in the offseason. Oh, yeah, I haven't even really looked at their other additions, though, on the Sixers. I do remember they got Caleb Martin.
Which I really, really liked the signing of Caleb Martin. I really, really liked what they picked up in the draft with Jared McCain. Mm-hmm. I just think that type of a player is exactly what they needed to be looking for, because at his worst, you can just force him to be a spacer. And then now that you have Caleb Martin as well, it gives you kind of like, we don't have to throw him into the deep end immediately if he's not there, which I think he might be. I was not pumped to see that the Sixers got Jared McCain. That did not make me feel super great on draft night, but we'll see how that ends up
You think he's there? What do you mean there already? Where's
like
there?
Able to fill in and give good minutes, as in like
gotcha.
Ready for that level. I think that he's already there in terms of that level, but if he's not, now they have kind of Caleb Martin that can fill in and do that, but just worse feeling type of thing. Not the shooting, but just fill that spot on the court.
I guess he's Caleb Martin, I'd say, is like a 3, kind of small ball 4 sometimes, but Jared McCain's a point guard.
I thought it was a 2-3 in my brain. I don't know why I thought that.
Oh, yeah. I think Jared McCain's like 6'2", I want to say. but they're both spacers. Would be like,
who am I thinking? I'm not even gonna try to go down the rabbit hole of who my brain thought he was, but
yeah,
I just know he's a shooter.
Point stands with if you just trade Caleb Martin for like Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry, then yeah, I think same thing though. Like they don't really need him, but he's a guy that if he is working and does pop off, then he's like a bonus. And then they also got Adam Bona from the draft, I noticed, which another guy that similar, not like as good of a prospect as Jared McCain, obviously, but still a guy that I feel like could pop off as a rotational big
rookie.
Yeah,
and UCLA
to fill that
is just kind of just a fully grown adult male, just a big dude.
So he would definitely be like what we were just talking about with the lack of size behind Embiid. If he were to pan out right away, then he would be an option there to make that less of a problem.
He is size. That is the one thing that he has that no one will ever be able to take away from him. He is a giant person. May or may not want him to be a Celtic instead of Baylor Shireman, but it is fine. But it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Was he available at the 30th pick? I don't even remember if
I think so.
They also got Eric Gordon, another spacer. Especially at this point in his career, Eric Gordon is kind of just like a spacer out to 35 feet, honestly. Just to spot up out there. Kelly Oubre was a good re-signing as well. They also have Kenyon Martin Jr., KJ Martin. So pretty good roster that the Sixers have fielded together. And that's why I think we have them at 4th on our power rankings.
Yes, we do.
Which I think they're closer to the teams below them than being in that top 3 for sure.
Yes.
But I feel pretty good about them being the highest out of that little tier that they're
especially in the regular season. I think that's also like a big thing.
Yeah.
If we're not saying like playoffs, that's a different monster. But I think, there's definitely a shelf in between 3 and 4 for the regular season. And that is.
Are these power rankings for the regular season?
Just kind of for the whatever. I don't know.
Okay. I kind of was factoring in playoffs a little bit when I was making them because that's what I would have, if we're just doing regular season, I would put the Knicks above the Sixers probably. But overall, I kind of switched them around. So Sixers, I don't know if I said that, but I'm going under on the Sixers.
Yeah, you said under, and I am using my stay away because I still have it. Because if Embiid plays 60-something games and is award eligible, I feel like they get that line. Maybe they don't, but
I'm betting on him not playing that many games, honestly.
Which is probably pretty safe, but I'm just going to use a stay away regardless. And that's all I have on the Sixers. Anything else you would like to touch on before we continue our way outside of the United States for the first time and only time?
That's true. I will mention the jerseys. Out of all the jerseys that I've seen, which is not a lot, I thought the Sixers leaked city jerseys actually look pretty good. They're pretty similar in concept to one of their city jerseys from a couple of years ago with like the kind of like not rainbow, but like multiple colors.
Bright colors. Yep.
They have those, but I think they're white based instead of like a dark blue base.
Blue.
So not bad there. But yeah, that is it for me on the Sixers. And we can move on to Toronto, which is the kind of like the misfit location in this division, a little bit farther away than the other cities.
It's not the worst, but yeah.
Yeah, not the worst in the NBA, that's for sure. I mean, we do have Portland and Minneapolis in the same division in the NBA, so that's very different. But Toronto, up in the Great Lakes region, more so than the Atlantic coast, they have an over-under line of 30.5 wins, which they won 25 games last season, which is actually lower than I thought in my head. And their line last year was 36.5. So they were pretty well under that. They did deal with a decent amount of injuries and then also sold off of their pieces. And actually pretty well before the deadline even occurred, they did this. I think they traded off of OG and Anunoby in December, I want to say.
Yeah, they got the ball rolling, and then everyone kind of did it, and it made trade deadline day be kind of a big old dud. Yeah. Because everyone did it like in the 2 months before. instead of like, because usually it's just like down to the wire. Woj, RIP. Why did we not open with that?
Yeah, we
now
didn't
that I'm
even
thinking
mention
about
that.
it. We'll touch on it here as we're wrapping up, but like there was nothing this year. And the it's the Raptors' fault. It's all the Raptors' fault
because of them, yeah.
Because they traded OG off too early. They also moved. Oh, Pascal Siakam also departed the Great North.
Was closer to the deadline, but I think it was like 2 weeks before the deadline. Still,
yeah, and he is now a Pacer, which we'll talk about next episode.
Yeah,
but
in the Central.
Yeah, and then they just kind of locked down the assets, picked up another one in Emmanuel Quickly, which I'm a big fan of. Granted, I think his best career games are always against Boston somehow. And so I think I am higher on Emmanuel Quickly than almost every other fan base in the NBA. But I loved some of their picks they got. I loved Jacoby Walter. I loved where they got him at 19. Also loved older, so it kind of fits their window because Scotty Barnes is a couple years in as he also got his rookie extension. Jamal Sheed out of Houston is like off night 2.0. He just is honestly, I would have loved him to stay in Houston because I feel like that fit would have just been awesome. With Udoka, I feel like could use a guy like Jamal Sheed. He's just kind of a small, feisty Jalen Brunson with almost zero offense. Just built like Jalen Brunson, but attacks defensively, and it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was a fun guy to watch there at University of Houston. And if he pans out, I wouldn't be surprised. And he's also the type of guy that would pan out in a Raptors uniform, albeit that was back in the day when Nick Nurse was their head coach.
Yeah.
Now they have Darko. I couldn't remember his first name for a second, but Darko Rajakovic. But yeah,
all-time interview guy.
That's true.
That
That's very true. I think that is kind of his claim to fame so far in his young coaching career.
And having a young all-star in Scotty Barnes.
That is his claim to fame?
I'm just kidding. It's not, but it's definitely the press conference where he told the refs, he got fined, I think. He's like, why do we even play if the refs decide the game?
Yeah. Just tell us beforehand. We won't show up for the game. Yeah. No, but I think we had a whole episode basically dedicated to that after it happened. Anyways, Toronto Raptors, they're over underline 30.5 wins. I don't feel great about this one. This was honestly a very strong candidate for my stay away. But I think I'm going to go with a slight over just because I think I've picked under on everybody so far. Yes, that is true. I've picked under on everyone else. So I feel like I might lean over just for that reason. I feel like they're going to be one of the better bad teams because if Scotty Barnes takes a bit of a leap, and I really like the rotation there with Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett, and then also Bruce Brown still being there. I don't know if he will stay there. If they are competitive, then he works out great fitting in there. They also have Ochai Agbaji as another young guy. Sorry if I'm repeating any names that you said. I'm not sure if I have.
Nope, but I have not said any of them thus far.
And Grady Dick, who did not start off super great in his rookie season, but towards the end of the season really started to step up and improve and get more time and minutes. If we see him get in the rotation as a tall shooter, Kelly Olynyk, another guy that is like a spacer at the 5 spot, and Jakob Poeltl down low, who I didn't even mention, but is the rim protector, obviously.
And it's just quietly, ever since Poeltl, that game dropped, has quietly just gotten better at basketball.
I think he's been pretty good for a while. But
no, I immediately, when I saw the Raptors City Edition jersey leak, I hit up my jersey guy. I was like, if that is real, I will get a Jakob Poeltl jersey.
That's a great jersey. I don't know. I've never thought about getting a Jakob Poeltl jersey, but that's a vibe.
I just realized that I look in my jersey box and it's all green. And I've got guys all over the NBA. Like, I debated Jamal Sheed, honestly. Like, he's that much of one of my guys. I thought about it, but
isn't his name? I'm the only reason I'm correcting you is because you're saying that he's your guy. Isn't his last name pronounced Shed?
I've always said Sheed. It might be Shed. I don't know.
I feel like I've heard it said Jamal Shed.
It's probably Shed. I don't know. I always said Sheed.
Yeah.
Like Reed. No. But then Reed is also red.
That is all. Yeah, and lead is also spelled like that sometimes.
And lead. Well, I think if you say lead, is it?
No, but like
yeah.
the substance.
EA does both.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But then lead is
Yeah. So interesting pronunciation, but that was pointless to bring up. And then Bruno Fernando is also here.
It is just Shed.
Is Shed? Okay.
I've always said Sheed. No one's ever corrected me, and I've never listened really. I just see the guy and my brain turns off, kind of like Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
I would have swore on my life it was Van Fleet for a long time, but it's not. It's Van Vliet. But yeah, speaking of Toronto, it was all related. Jamal Shed was also almost the jersey that I got, but I decided to go with Pirtle.
So yeah, I kind of like this roster a little bit, honestly, from the perspective of like the bottom teams, like
the top of the bottom.
Yeah, the top of the bottom. Which I'm saying this now. Dead money. Sasha Vezenkov, is he on their team? It says dead money, so he must not be. Did he just come to the NBA for one season and then leave?
Maybe.
Which especially early on with the Kings, I didn't mind him. I thought he looked like he could probably be a real guy. And then, and his original contract was 3 years. I guess he just decided to go back. He's a free agent, it says. So might just be going back over to
Cyprus.
The EuroLeague. Yeah, he's from Cyprus. I think was he born in Bulgaria or is he born in Cyprus?
Born in Cyprus.
Okay, yeah. I know that he was born in a place where he didn't grow up, and it was either Cyprus. So he grew up Bulgarian. I think he was born in Cyprus. And then he also considers himself Greek because he's lived, Bulgaria and Greece are bordering, and then also he's played in Greece for the majority of his EuroLeague time, I think. But anyways, so he might be going back over there. To cap off my thoughts on the Raptors, though, I think I'm going to lean over slightly. Don't feel good about it because they're not that great of a team, but I think they'll probably, I don't know. I'm going to go with it. I'm not going to put too much logic into it. Let's go over.
Yeah, I'm going to go under because this year is going to be rough to be a bad team, even if you're the good bad teams. It's just going to be a long... Because there's, realistically, 22 teams I think could make the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
Or almost feel like should make the playoffs. And then, the Raptors are, the team just out of that. And that just doesn't feel like a great spot to be. You have to play 3 very good teams a lot of times because you're in the same division, which is also not going to help the win percentage. It's better to be in the East than the West, I guess. But honestly, now, even, that's not as true as it used to be. It still is.
Yeah, it is.
Because the teams below them, 3 of the 4 of the 5 are East.
Yeah, and they have Nets in their division with them.
And they have the Nets in their division, so that's a free couple of wins because of how bad the Nets are.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go under because I feel like I've got other teams that I would like to say over. And if those teams are over, that means they had to have beat Toronto when they play each other.
Mm-hmm.
When we do our grand scheme readjust, I might change it, but I don't think so. I'm going to stick with the over slightly, 31 wins. Under. I said under. I mean under.
Okay.
Under. Under 29 wins.
Okay.
Or 30 maybe. I got to tell 30. Yeah, I'm going to go under. I feel good about under. That is where I have it at.
Yeah, and to mention, I don't know if we have their power ranking is 24th in the NBA. But yeah, that does it for the Atlantic Division. We kind of sped through those, honestly.
We had a couple of them that were quick, but for the most part, we stuck to our 12 minutes pretty well. I feel like we fit in some outside talk in between, but stayed mostly on track, so it could be worse.
So I guess we kind of have time to get to the rest of my list that I don't know if we wanted to tack that on here at the end. But first, did you want to talk about Woj at all?
Yeah. Woj retired and is going to be the GM of a college basketball team, from what I understand. Seems weird, but...
St. Bonaventure or something like that?
Yeah, that's where he went to. He's an alum of, St. Bonaventure. I don't know how to... Bonaventure.
I don't know why I felt confident enough to just pronounce... I feel like I've only ever... Is that right? I feel like I've only ever read that word or name.
And I feel like the only reason we've also read it a bunch of times is because of Woj.
Oh, I can't... Really? I didn't know. I know at least... Well, this is probably because you don't drive up in northern Nebraska a lot, but where my parents are from, up very northern Nebraska, every so often we go up there to visit family and stuff, and there's a church in Elgin, which is where my grandma lived, R.I.P., and that was St. Bonaventure Church is the church they went to. Yeah. So that's the reason, that's where I know it from, is that deep childhood memories. But even then, I feel like I don't remember it being said out loud very much. I just remember reading it as we drive by and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
He is no longer going to be the NBA guy for ESPN. It seems like Shams is now just going to be the guy. Probably. Not probably. I think he just is.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Well, I guess I haven't been following that. Did he get hired by ESPN?
No.
I saw that they were prioritizing him and Chris Haynes. Shams and Chris Haynes were like their two target guys to go after.
Yeah.
Which Chris Haynes, I believe, is signed with Bleacher Report, I want to say. Is where he's
technically at. Turner.
Yeah, he was a Turner guy, and then Turner kind of consolidated with Bleacher Report as their...
I don't know if he is anywhere, because he just says senior NBA insider on his...
He might be a free agent.
Is Shams also? Are they both free agents?
I think Shams, I want to say when I looked up his contract stuff, he was also a free agent now. And so that's probably why they are... because... I wonder if maybe people knew about this. People knew about Woj's timeline, maybe a little bit, and that's why they had their contracts lined up like that.
Maybe KOC knew, and was like, if things are getting shooken up, I'm going to Yahoo.
Yeah, but I guess Woj. Yeah, there's a clip I have saved on my computer that I haven't done anything with yet, but it's funny. It was when we were recording right around the 4th of July. We were recording an episode like on July 2nd or something like that. So there's a lot of fireworks going off in the background, at least on my recording, I want to say. But in the recording, like of ours combined, there's a point where you say Woj, and then immediately, right after you say Woj, there's this huge boom in the background. So it's like Woj bomb. So I have that saved. I haven't done anything with it yet, but it's a funny little 4-second clip. But
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But we won't need that anymore. That's unfortunate. Because we use that as like a button to be like, Woj bomb. Gone now. Because there will not be any more Woj bombs. The final Woj bomb, was it Jonathan Isaac? I think or Isaac Okoro.
No, Isaac Okoro. Yeah. Name association.
Has the ability to claim the final.
I wouldn't really define that as a bomb. but technically it was the last Woj reporting tweet or whatever.
That was not him saying I'm leaving, goodbye.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But yeah, anyway, that'll be interesting to see how it shakes things up, and I think it might be honestly good for draft night and stuff, maybe, because then it won't be the race to see who can spoil the pick first, because there's only one person.
Yeah, he stopped. I guess that's
stopped.
True. He stopped last season. Mm-hmm.
Shams would still do it, but now maybe that there's not. Maybe it'll be
it's all chill.
Yeah, we'll be able to watch the draft and enjoy the draft instead of being minutes ahead always.
Yeah, which I was always I like to just not look at my phone and watch the draft, and that's the reason why we had a clip last summer of me complaining about the draft broadcast because of how terrible it was from that standpoint of things, actually wanting to watch late into the draft and see all the picks happen. They weren't really doing that for some reason. So then that's when I had to start looking into on Twitter, trying to find who has been picked and when they have been selected and everything. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that unravels. But the thing I will say about this is I'm surprised at how big this story was. Woj retired. I thought that would probably be like whoa, yeah, that's crazy. Woj is retiring. Yeah. But it felt like somebody died.
Yeah. And then also my favorite is everyone made it about LeBron so quickly. I was like, wow. LeBron made it longer than... Yeah, it just seemed like that. I saw that tweet.
Outlasted LeBron, basically. LeBron
outlasted Woj. I felt like I saw that so quickly. And I'm like, we could have just enjoyed and appreciated Woj. And when Brian Windhorst retires, I am fine. If we immediately make it about LeBron,
that makes sense.
That's fitting. That's a fitting send-off. Woj was in the trenches talking about whatever.
Yeah. Max Strus getting waived by the Celtics.
Yeah, like LeBron or not. So I feel like we could have let... And then also Woj was doing reporting just not for ESPN for like years before LeBron started playing NBA basketball.
Was it for Yahoo?
90s. Maybe in the 90s.
I mean right before. You're saying before LeBron even.
Yeah, I'm saying that just because he was covering...
He got to ESPN in 2015-16 range, I want to say. He had a pretty long life doing Woj bombs before he was even with ESPN. He was doing it with a different outlet. I want to say it was Yahoo or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he wrote for Yahoo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One of his big stories he wrote was Drew Holiday to meet with the Pelicans at the start of free agency. That was a big one of his most 7 years, 2017.
Okay, so yeah, the year I wanted to say right away was 2018 was his first year at ESPN, but I was like, that feels way too recent. So I pushed it back in my head a little bit, but I think it might have been 2018 was his first year at ESPN, which is kind of wild. But yeah, anyways, though, moving on from Woj, I guess I'll just give my list right here, which for those who don't know, if you haven't listened to episode 100 and you just listened to this episode, go back, check out our 100th episode. It was a special one. We did our top 10 all time, gave some honorable mentions as well. I think we both went out to about 15 in doing honorable mentions total. I think I gave my top 17 to be exact, but I will give all of those here now. I made a list of 35, so I just kind of wanted to give those names some shine. So to spoil, I guess, I don't know should I spoil the top 10 or should I just leave that for the people to go back and listen to? And then
they can go back and listen. Give them 35 through 11.
Yeah, that works. So starting at 11, I guess, Shaquille O'Neal was the guy who I had right outside the top 10, followed by Steph at 12. Nikola Jokic is who I had in pen, honestly, there at 13, ahead of Kevin Durant at 14, Moses Malone at 15, Kevin Garnett at 16, Julius Erving, Dr. J at 17, and then this is where the new names come, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I had at 18. Oscar Robertson, the Big O, at 19, kind of fits in the top 20 here, with Jerry West rounding out that 20. And all RIP to Jerry West also. Didn't even think about that. But Charles Barkley at 21. I wanted really bad to get him in the top 20.
It's just hard to.
Yeah, it's hard to. But I have him here at 21. Karl Malone at 22. Elgin Baylor at 23. Dirk Nowitzki at 24. Scottie Pippen at 25. Dwayne Wade at 26. Jason Kidd at 27. Steve Nash at 28, which is like a guy with 2 MVPs. Like I just was like, he has to be. It's a weird spot to try to fit him in. Him being at 28th and having 2 MVPs is kind of wild. But then 29, I have David Robinson. Isaiah Thomas is at 30. Detroit Pistons. Yep. Isaiah Thomas, obviously. Number 31, I have Clyde Drexler. Number 32, John Stockton. Number 33, James Harden. Number 34, Allen Iverson. And number 35, Bill Walton is the order or the names that I have here. Also, it's kind of like it's not necessarily just what they did in the NBA. Obviously, since I have Dr. J at 17.
There's guys like that you have to count all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, you don't get. I don't know where you would put Dr. J if you just count his Sixers years. I guess it's interesting to think about, but Bill Walton, kind of shoves him up there is his legendary college career, which he's at least a top 3 college player of all time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is my list there. I guess do you want to talk about that at all, or do you want to just say goodbye to the folks at home?
Where's Jason Tatum at? I'm just kidding.
Honestly, I'm not sure. Honestly, I feel like
he's top 50
already.
He's won a title.
Yeah.
He's been.
Is he over Paul Pierce?
It's close. I think it's really close.
All right. If Jason Tatum retired today, he would be close to Paul Pierce?
No, because that's also not like... Because then it's like, oh, he only played for 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. But isn't that the way you have to treat it?
I suppose.
Because to me,
no, because like the thing for me is like whenever you greatest Celtics ever. You've got Bird, you've got Garnett, you've got Pierce, you've got Bill Russell. I missed the top almost. Yeah. Anyway, but then you get into this like weird category of like KG just because of how good he was, like gets put up there. But then like you still probably have like a lot of Bird's teammates and some of, but like Tatum and Brown are in there somewhere, right around there.
I wouldn't put either of them over McHale or Pierce yet, but I think that
not yet.
I would imagine.
I would bet they end up higher.
At least Tatum. I don't know if I would put Jaylen Brown to like say that he definitely would be, because Kevin McHale was really freaking good. Kevin McHale was at his peak was like the sixth best player in the world. Yeah, he just was the second best player on his team. Yeah. So
I said that as a joke. We didn't even need to actually analyze it. I said that in jest.
I thought it was a good thing. Yeah, it was fun to kind of dive into. But
because we've also talked about what's the ratio of rings in the 2020s versus like what they meant in the 90s, and what's the ratio of 90s rings to 60s rings? Like what's the
that's true. Yeah,
transition rate? Because we've said that like rings in the 2020s might be worth 2.5, maybe even 3 rings in other decades.
Yeah. Basically.
So if they win 2 of them somehow, or 3 of them, if all things go great, like what does that do?
That's true, but I feel like it's also
it's projecting forward, yeah,
and also their rings. I feel like in a way you can have a problem with this and argue with it if you want, but in a way I feel like it doesn't do as much for their resume as it does for like a Michael Jordan or like a Jokic or a Tim, like one of the like those superstars, because their team is the superstar in a way. If that,
I don't think that Michael Jordan counts in that list, because Michael Jordan's team were also superstar-esque, not the same way that Jokic was.
Not even in close though.
I'm not saying that the Celtics don't have a better team in terms of the average, but Jokic is a different monster, because Jokic is one. The next best guy, best guy on his team was Jamal Murray, who's like a maybe top 25 guy in the NBA, maybe.
Yeah, I would say no, but yeah,
Scottie
close.
Pippen was Michael Jordan's teammate for most of those. That's
true, but I feel like the Bulls were like really top heavy. It was Jordan and Scottie, which were 2 of the best players on the planet.
Yeah,
and then after that, like Horace Grant for a stretch was like their third best player, who was like, when he was there, was probably a top 30 or 40 guy, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I think there was even a bigger drop off after the third best guy. Like the rest of the lineup, the rest of the rotation with the Bulls was not very good.
Steve Kerr, just random people that
as a starting point guard,
thing well, just a thing, not just he could shoot. That was it. But no, I was more saying not that's like the Celtics obviously is not the same, because the team is busted.
It's just like the fifth best player on the Celtics is like not that far away. Like it almost feels like on any given night, the 5th best player could be better than your best player on the Celtics, like way more commonly than other teams.
No, the thing that I jumped on the statement was the Jokic and Jordan being put in the same one because, and maybe it's because I'm just off on Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is like nowhere close.
Yeah, but I feel like the Nuggets are a lot deeper probably than the Bulls were.
But I also feel like Jokic makes everyone look better, and if you take people and put them in other places, they just look so much worse. So are they deeper? Or is Jokic just like the dictionary definition picture of greatest floor raiser of all time by miles?
I think, it probably
like we already jerk off Jokic enough on the podcast. But like, it was more than putting Michael Jordan in the same brackets as Jokic is what I was like, whoa, that doesn't make sense to me. Celtics are in a different tier, like below that. I get that.
Yeah.
But more the like, it's like, I mean, look, LeBron taking the 17 Cavs when Kyrie was gone.
Yep.
That's kind of that's nuts because of what happened to the team after the only piece that changed was LeBron leaving. But who were they able to draft? It was like a top 5 pick. They were terrible.
Right after he left the second time?
Yeah.
Darius Garland and Colin Sexton was the year before, their pick before he left. So it wasn't until, it's because Colin Sexton on draft night was like, hey, LeBron, stay. Like he said that in an interview, basically. And then the next year would have been Darius Garland, I think. And he was the 4th or 5th pick, I want to say.
Like, they got really bad really fast, and they were in the finals and almost won the finals. And the only reason they didn't is because the only team that's ever had more talent at one time than this last year's Celtics team was who they had to beat.
I would say they almost won the finals. They were 4. It was a 5-game series, but
I thought it was 6. But just my brain is like,
it was 5-game series in 2017. In 2018, the last year he was there, was actually a sweep, I want to say. It was really? I know the two Durant final series was 5-4. I know that for a fact. Where they only lost 1 game out of those 2 series total.
Oh, it was a sweep in 18.
Yeah, but they almost won game 1, except J.R. Smith had the clock, the
overtime debacle that forced it ended up going to overtime because of JR.
And that was one of the greatest games any basketball player has ever played. Was LeBron's game 1. He had like a 50-point triple double.
Yeah. Anyway, we can keep things moving, but yeah. Like I said, we already give Jokic more. I mean, he has a house full of flowers from just our podcast alone. But when I was like sitting through preparing for this, I'm just not convinced the Nuggets have anyone that's great unless they play with Jokic. I feel like they're all like bad, not bad. They're all like fringe. It's like
they're like a good step below where people think they actually.
It's like a fringe good starter where you're like they're a good starter sometimes in some scenarios, but not most.
And they have major issues. Yeah.
Yeah, but because they're paired with Jokic, that's why no one wants Michael Porter Jr. Because they know that like if he can't even look good with Jokic feeding him the ball, how bad is he in reality?
Which I think he looks good with Jokic. I mean, he's one of the best shooters on the planet,
but he doesn't do that enough volume increase then.
Yeah, he doesn't take as many as he probably should, but he also plays for the Nuggets, who doesn't shoot a lot. The Nuggets, they're the lowest 3-point attempt team in the NBA.
I feel like that's the sign that they're going to trade him, is they force him to shoot like 6 threes a game or 7 threes a game, and they're like, shoot more. They'll go in. You're going somewhere else. That'll be the telltale sign. Is Michael Porter Jr. will be given the green light offensively.
For like
a bunch of games in a row.
He would not mind that. That's for sure.
But unless he knows that it comes with the caveat of we're inflating our trade value to get rid of you.
I think the thing that keeps him from getting traded, honestly, what hurts the trade value to other teams is not the shooting. That's not a problem at all. I think it's the on-ball stuff. With the contract that he is on, he should be more than a shooter. He needs to be able to develop as an on-ball creator, somebody who can get to his spot and ISO, which he just does not do at all. But to be fair, he's not really given that responsibility in the Nuggets offense.
But anyway, we'll talk about the Nuggets for 12 minutes in a couple episodes. But
for sure.
Here's a little bit of extra for the majority of the Nuggets fans that are listening. Yeah, I think I'm good to say goodbye though. I think I'm out of things.
I think that's probably a good spot to end it. So yeah, thank you for listening once again. This was episode 101. I already forgot the name of the episode. Tony Parker. Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. Hit us up on Patreon, buy me a coffee, all the things I said at the beginning. Stay happy, stay healthy. We will talk to you guys next episode.
Peace.